All right, cousin Tone. We're about to hop into the DeLorean and go back to the 90s when you still had hair and I was still able to grab the rim off the vert. Ah, yes, the good old days when ton wagging was the rage and baggy shorts was a prerequisite to get on the floor. And with us today, that's going to take us down memory lane, is none other than Mr. Jake Roy, aka 90s B-ball cards. What's up, Roy? How you doing, brother? How you doing, man?
I'm doing good. After a long day, nothing that I'd rather do than sip on some wine and talk cards with you guys.
Love it, love it. I wish I had some wine, man. I could actually unwind after a long day of delivering the mail, being the people's mailman. But we appreciate you coming on board, Jake. This is exciting for me because this is right in my wheelhouse when it comes to card collecting. 90s b-ball cards. Like I said, back in the day when Tony had hair, it was all the rage, and we balled out when we were younger. Loved to play basketball, and that was. Like I said, right in our wheelhouse. So now that we're a little bit older and we're collecting, I'm still kind of dabbling in it. I'm not 100% sure what it's all about. But Tony, he's Mr. Vintage when it comes to collecting. So he has a lot of questions. So we figured, you know what? Why don't we get an expert on here that can actually lead us down the right path, make sure we're not screwing up and picking up some stuff that we really shouldn't. So Jake, tell us about yourself, man. For all the people out there that live under a rock that haven't heard about you, let us know a little bit about Mr. B-ball cards.
All right, yeah. I was raised in West Philadelphia. No,
Born
uh,
and raised.
yeah, no. I don't know how far back we want to go, but we'll start with my collecting journey. I started collecting because of my older brother. My older brother was the collector in the family. My parents got him into collecting to help work through his dyslexia, actually. So he was really into baseball and football. So I went to a couple card shows with him and my dad, and then in 1995, the summer that an Olympia Sports kind of down the street from where I was opening up, they were giving out free packs of NBA hoops every time that you went in, and tried to go in, multiple times a day. Hey, me and my brother switching T-shirts, trying to get extra packs and stuff, all that kind of stuff. So we went in as often as we could to get as many packs as we could and rip through them. And we didn't really have anything specific we were looking for. It was just fun. And then, my brothers and I, and then there were a couple other kids near us that were all ripping. So then we would trade cards back and forth, and then got hooked. So that was the thrill is ripping the packs, and then from there started collecting specific players and ripping packs as often as possible. Birthdays, Christmas, anytime that my dad would get us to the card shop, trying to rip into those mystery packs, and the rest, as they say, is history.
Nice, nice. Now, did you play basketball growing up?
I did. I played a lot of basketball. I was in New Hampshire, so not exactly a hotbed for basketball talent, but for the New Hampshire basketball scene, I played at a pretty high level. So we traveled for AAU to Boston and played against teams from Chicago and all over. Went to camps in New York, and yeah. So I mean, my height isn't I'm not the tallest guy in the world. I'm right about average or a little bit above average height. But when I was in middle school, I was the same height that I am now, so I was a
Yeah.
pretty big guy for my age.
Nice. So we got a baller on our hands, Tone.
That's awesome.
Once upon a time, that's a past life.
Yeah, I think we could all say that, bro.
But so Jake, real quick though, what's the wine of choice?
Oh, so tonight I've got, what am I drinking? Lambrusco. That's what I got tonight.
Ah, okay, all right. I mean, I'm like a junior wine connoisseur. We the wife finally got me hooked in. Now it's funny when you first start out, they always say, "Yeah, you start with the sweeter stuff, and then
Yeah.
your palate goes." So now we're all the way at the other end now, where it's like dry and red, and for some reason, I mean, I have a hard time drinking it because I drink it like juice, like it's really smooth. I just
Yeah,
feel
yeah.
like, whoa, man, this is like this is like a sipping drink, and I learned that the hard way a couple
That's the
times.
thing with this Lambrusco is it's nice for like a weekday. It's like 7 or 8%, but
Okay.
it's like juice. It's a sweeter wine, but it's
Yeah,
also not like very expensive, so you don't
nice.
feel bad, putting down a glass or two.
Nice, nice. Yeah, those 13, 14 percenters, they're meant
They'll
for
creep up on you.
yeah, yeah, for sure.
You don't want to get into the dessert wine; those will really get you.
Yeah, nah, so save that for another day. See that, Oz? Oz thinks I'm a caveman, but I got a
You're a connoisseur, bro.
little
You're a
bit.
Renaissance man. You know,
There you
man
go,
of the
little
people.
bit,
I
little
appreciate
bit.
that.
You can't put it all out there all the time. You got to
Yeah,
let
yeah,
people
yeah.
figure it out. You know.
Yeah, yeah, for sure. So, Jake, but why the '90s NBA cards, man? What is it about them that call your name?
Yeah, so for me, it's just nostalgia. That's the stuff that I grew up collecting. I would pore over the Beckett magazines, like really study them. I love to geek out on the pack odds when they were ripping into a new box. I would love to hear what their experience was and see kind of like what they were hitting and what the odds were for that and that type of stuff. Just because I grew up with it and because I study those Beckett's, I just knew it really well.
Mhm.
And it just is one of those bits of information that's stuck in my brain. So no matter what other information I try to cram in there, that's kind of deeply embedded. So when I'm later in life and all my memories go, those will probably still be there.
Nice, nice. That's we always like that. Oz said, like for me, I'm like, man, I'm not ready to go in there yet, but that's the wheelhouse. That's the stuff we grew up on. So when I'm ready to dive up in there, I know that it's going to be
Yeah, and I think the cool thing with the '90s is there's a lot of stuff that started in the '90s. There's a lot of innovation happening then. So a lot of the things that we see now, there's something very similar, if not the exact same, that was the first of its kind in the '90s. If we're looking at jerseys or patches or numbered cards or we call them prisms now, but
Mhm.
refractors and so on and so forth. Uh, they all started in the '90s. So
Yeah. And one thing before I kick it to Oz, so '95, Air Penny One comes out, right?
yep,
Which so '95, I'm like a sophomore in high school, broke high school kid, right? But that's the same year that the Concord 11s come out.
yep.
Pretty sure. So when those came out, I'm working first job, something like that, and I'm like, mom's not having it. Like, if you want those, you got to get them on your own.
Right.
So it was a tough decision back then, and I went with the Concords because the Concords, when those came out, everybody, if you don't know what the Concord Jordans are, look them up. Yeah, I mean, Jordan walks on the court with a white and black shoe, which was not allowed. He
Yep.
got fined for doing that because you got to wear either the white or the black. He comes out
Mm-hmm.
with a tuxedo looking shoe, shiny leather. I'm like, what
Mm,
is that? But so immediately I fell in love. But I know we'll get to into the penny stuff with you. But so the Air Max Penny comes out the same time. I'm like, oh my God. And that shoe, man, I never got it when I was in high school and it haunted me forever.
mm-hmm.
So finally, as a grown ass man, I
There
finally
we
got
go.
me. And this shoe is freaking fire. I've worn it twice. Don't get me wrong, but I'm scared of but
Was that the 2015 when they re-released it?
yes, yep,
Yeah.
yeah, yeah. So yeah, because and the first uh dude, I mean on the secondary market, they're crazy. But
Right.
this shoe, um, to me it's legendary, man, and it just reminds you of pennies. It screams '90s because they had that whole campaign with Chris Rock as Little
Mm-hmm.
Penny and all that stuff. And yeah, I mean, like I said, that shoe, if you don't know what that is, look it up. That's '90s all day.
Actually, speaking of Chris
You got Lil
Rock,
Penny?
There he is.
I got all three of them, but this is the closest one. So this is
Nice.
the leisure outfit. I
Yeah.
don't know.
That's dope.
So, but
Oh,
yeah, no. I mean, so I could geek out on shoes. Shoes and wine are kind of the other two vices of
Mhm.
mine. So, the shoe that really got me into shoes was actually, I got it right back here, the foam posit. My brother was at a camp, basketball camp, and the last day, all the campers would scrimmage, and my brothers and I and my parents would go a little bit early to watch him play.
Mhm.
And I just saw this crazy looking shoe on the court, and I was like, "What is that?" And I said to my parents, so I would get one pair of shoes for the start of the school year, and then I would get another pair of shoes when basketball season would start.
Mhm.
And then after basketball season, those were my school shoes, right? So I told my parents from that moment, I was like, those need to be my shoes. So my parents like, okay. So afterwards, my brother's done playing. They asked about the shoes that I was talking about, and he was like, yeah, you guys don't want to buy those shoes. And they're like, why not? And then he goes, they're $160.
Yeah.
And back in 1996, $160 for a pair of shoes might as well have been 1,000.
Yeah.
So they were just like, yeah, no, you're not going to have those shoes. So those were the shoes that haunted me
Okay.
forever because they never re-released them. They actually broke the mold that they used to make those later on. So they had to recreate, they had to reverse engineer that mold. So in 2016, so the year after the Air Penny ones re-released, these ones came out. My wife knew how much I loved them. She still thinks they're hideous, but
they're a very love them or hate them shoe.
They are, absolutely. They're almost the exact opposite, and I love them just as much as the Concord 11 because it's like the Concord 11 is almost unanimously loved. But I love, like, people ask what's the best shoe of all time, and I can't separate those two. Those are 1A and 1B. So
that's dope.
Very nice. Little talk for the sneakerheads out there.
Yeah, sure.
All right, so let's get back to the cars, gentlemen, and let's talk 90s inserts, bro. I want to get a deep dive. We're going to do some, like we call sports card lessons. I want to get Tony into this realm. I want him to dip his toes in. So if you could, sir, let's just say your top 5 inserts in the 90s.
Boy.
Or can you do it?
I can. I probably can. I can probably show most of them, but there's going to be something I'm going to forget. So I'm going to talk about aesthetics. If you'll indulge me.
Sure.
So my number one personal favorite of all time for aesthetics is the Jambalaya, the 97-98 EX 2001 Jambalaya.
Love it.
So these are one of those cards you've got to see it in person because you can see the die cut, you can see the colors, you can't really see the there's like a mini lenticular, so it almost looks like bubbles, but they move. It's like a honeycomb pattern. The penny has the best picture in the entire set because he's actually dunking. Not all of them are dunking. And these cards were so rare that people guesstimate the print run. We're not going to talk about that because it's just speculation at this point. But it's one of those that adds to the mystique of the card. How rare, how many were printed, if they were serial numbered, what they would be serial numbered to. So not only are they beautiful and they're rare, but they're also kind of mysterious in a way. So those are the first one that I would put on my list for sure.
Nice. Jambalayas. Love jambalayas. I actually had a jambalaya, the Shaq, where he's in his Miami Heat uniform, posing with his bicep.
Yep.
And the first show that I set up at, I had put it right there on the table. It wasn't in my case. I had it set apart. And a gentleman came over, was talking to me, looking me dead in my eye sockets. And I could see with his hands, him reach onto the table, grab something and put it into his pocket. But I was like, did he just take a card? No, he wouldn't have taken a card. Over, and then he leaves. We're talking for about 10 minutes and he leaves. And then I start looking at my table and I'm like, my Shaq is missing. My Shaq is gone. And I know exactly who took it, but by then he was gone. Wow. So that's my jambalaya story. Hurts me to this day. Oh, but the best part is it was graded. So I'm on IG scrolling. I come across a guy's IG who happens to live in Australia.
Okay.
So this guy's from Australia and he has my card. I just got my new Shaq jambalaya.
Oh no.
I won it in an auction. And I look at the number, I'm like, holy crap, that's my card. So I reached out to him. I was like, dude, that was actually stolen off my table. He's like, oh, do you want it back? I'm like, no. He's like, I'm sure you paid. Just, it's all good. I said, I felt better knowing that, you got it, an actual Shaq collector and that you're in freaking Australia is even better. So,
right. Yeah, there's some story to it.
Yeah.
It's funny, speaking about the Shaq Jambalaya, my buddy growing up went down to the card shop to buy a pack of cards, was going to buy a pack of EX 2001. And for those who didn't collect in the 90s, those were ridiculously expensive packs. I think they were $5 a pack, which was insane at the time. It might have been $7 in my card shop. He might have marked it up a little bit. But so it was the last pack in the box, and he ended up passing on it. He was like, oh, he needed to go run an errand or something. I don't know what it was. He left and he was going to come back, and he came back, and the card shop owner was like, you should have bought that pack. Somebody just bought that pack and pulled the Shaq Jambalaya, which of course we didn't even know what that card looked like at the time. We'd seen pictures in the Beckett, but like we'd never seen one in person, but we knew what it was worth because we had the Beckett. He ended up opening up a pack of NASCAR cards instead. So,
not quite as good.
No.
You got the Ricky Rudd.
Yeah, who knows?
Wow.
That's
So
awesome.
with the basketball stuff and just real quick with Penny, I know that's your guy.
Hmm.
And I mean I've heard your story, it was because your brother was Jordan, so you went
Yep.
Penny and stuff
Yep.
like that. So that's dope. There's always that sibling rivalry. But what's the big fish? Now, 'cause I saw you posted one today. But
Hmm.
what's kind of the big fish that you don't have for Penny
Mm.
yet that you're kind of out there looking for?
Yeah, there's a lot. And some of them, the funds to get them would be, I can't get them
Yeah,
all at once, right?
yeah.
So I did a list of my top 10 recently, and the number one card on that list was the 97-98 game jersey, specifically the away. So it has a piece of his blue jersey with a white
Mhm.
pinstripe. That would be the number one card. If I'm, going through the aisles at National, hoping
Mhm.
I can find, but also hoping that I can find it, and somebody's willing to work with me on the price or, work out a trade and that type of stuff. So,
Yeah.
all the stars have to align sometimes for these big grails.
I gotcha. Yeah, dude, I'm loving this guy because this is like so '90s, man. Like Penny, like all that stuff. It just takes me back to having hair. It was a good time back then. I used to have to worry about brushes and stuff. Now I don't.
Yeah, yeah.
Not very.
So tell
Actually,
me.
you know what?
Go
It's
ahead.
more high maintenance not having hair than hair because it's like
I
I
believe
shave
it,
it. Like hair, you just get up and whatever, just keep it
right?
moving. But
Get
So tell me
sunscreen
about
or a hat.
this card right
yeah,
here.
Oh yes, the Noise Boys. That is another. I don't have my Noise Boys at my fingertips, but man, those are so incredible. And the design story that Gene from Arena Designs shared, I can't remember what show it was. Maybe it was Cardboard Chronicles, or it might have been Sports Card Live. But anyway, so super die cut. That mini lenticular that I was talking about on the jambalaya is even more mini on those, where it almost
Mhm.
looks like a flame.
Yep.
So this gold and orange that kind of play super die cut, but they're also super super thin cards. So if you put one of those in a penny sleeve and in a top loader, it's going to move around a lot. Um,
yeah.
so having them slabbed or put them in a card saver are probably the best way to go. But Gene was actually showing that you can actually bend those in half and they won't fold
Yeah.
because of the material that they made them out of, and because usually with lenticular cards like the jambalaya, they have a cardboard backing to them.
Mhm.
Those don't. So it's just one of those really cool cards when you again start to geek out on the design aspects, but it's just gorgeous. Also, it really pops when you look at them.
Yeah. The Dunkin' Donuts.
Mm,
I have one of those bad boys, and Oz always says he's like, he gets jealous of mine. That's the only Iverson card that I have that Oz drools over. But
let's see. Do I
those
have my penny here?
those bad boys
There it
are
is.
kind of sensitive, and I
Yeah.
yeah.
There
So
it is.
that the penny, let's put that up on the screen there. So that those cards, none of them are, and there's no parallels to that, correct?
Nope, there
Okay,
are not. No
okay.
matter what anybody on eBay tries to tell you.
Yeah, yeah, because like sometimes they're so yellow
Yep.
that they'll say gold variation,
Right.
not a gold
Wait a
variant.
minute.
Yeah. I mean, you could call it a urine variation.
Yeah,
That's what it looks like to me.
Yeah.
But yeah, in another one that again, Jean from Marina Designs talked about because the yellow. And she was talking about how she surmises that it's because of the chemicals in various parts of the plastic sheets and the concentration of those chemicals.
Mhm.
Um, so she was saying that she thinks if you have one of those now that hasn't yellowed, it's probably not going to. Um, Not to say if one has started to yellow, it won't get more yellow though.
Yeah,
So,
okay. Fair enough. So Tops is coming
mm,
back. We saw the news kind of break that Tops is going to be starting next season releasing they said basketball cards. They didn't
right.
say NBA. So that's, very specific basketball. You looking forward to that?
Yeah, I'm going to be interested to see what they have to offer. What was it? The OTE
Yeah.
offering. I didn't buy any of that, but I was looking at it just to see, what we might be in store for. I
Mhm.
don't think it's going to be, too dissimilar to what we're familiar with, in terms of it's going to be shiny. It's going to have a lot of color. It's going to have a lot of parallels. That's what I expect. But it'll just be exciting to see that branding on there. Like you said, I expect it's probably going to be unlicensed. It's going to be basketball. It's not going to be NBA. yet.
Mhm.
But it'll just kind of, I think, whet our appetite for,
Yep.
what's to come, and it'll be exciting. It'll be fun to see also some of those players maybe that we haven't seen in a while on some of those cards, or if they just keep it to the modern players, or whatever they do with it. It'll be interesting.
Yeah, we were just talking about that last night, where it's kind of gives them a little, wet the whistle a little bit, and get the kinks out, stuff like that, just to
Right.
get all that stuff out, and maybe by the time they get the license sooner than later, then we just roll them out. But I'm excited to see some of that stuff. I mean,
Yeah. I mean, I've never been shy about ripping some Prism baseball back when you couldn't find
Mhm.
any good stuff on the shelves. It's
Yeah,
always fun to rip stuff that's shiny. So
yeah, yeah. That's what I say. That's cool. But yeah, I'm definitely looking forward to seeing that stuff, because when that stuff became super popular, I was already out of the hobby. So
mm,
to see it come back, and maybe it'll help me, you know, get that learning curve down a little bit, and kind of help me out. But we'll see.
it'll be fun. It'll be fun
Yeah.
regardless. I mean, people will be upset no matter how good
Oh
it
yeah,
is or how bad it is.
yeah.
So there'll be no fair, and there'll be its fair share of all kinds of uproar, both good and bad. So.
I remember when I first started collecting again, you're looking at I'm a huge Allen Iverson guy, if you
Hmm.
haven't,
Mhm.
if you don't know already. But I really got a soft spot here for the draft redemption card. So the 96,
Yes.
97. Like to me, this is like straight 90s. You
Mhm.
got
Oh
the
yeah.
tops and the way it is, just the chrome border, and then it's like a cracked ice almost.
Yep. That's exactly what it looks like.
Yep.
What's the centering grade subgrade on that one?
This one centering is a 9.5.
Ooh, those are tough on centering. So I
Yep.
got one in a trade at National. That was a PSA 9. I don't have it on hand. And
Mhm.
the guy was like, "Yeah, I'm surprised it didn't grade better. I'm thinking about
Always.
cracking it." And I'm like, "Yeah, a PSA 9. I'm surprised it didn't grade better." And I was looking at it, and I'm like, "With the centering on that, I'm not touching it. I wouldn't have expected a 9, to be completely honest with you." And the guy was surprised, and I'm like, "Look at it. These cards just aren't, they don't come out centered very well. So
Yeah.
9.5 centering might as well be a 10."
There you go. I'm gonna have to crack that out. Now, speaking of which, it is a Beckett slab. Now,
What a segue.
what a segue, sir. When
Like
I'm
a
looking at your
pro.
IG, you got a lot of
A
Beckett's.
lot of Beckett. A lot of
And
Beckett.
we just had a little April Fool's debacle. I don't know if it was a joke, if it was real. I'm
Uh,
pretty sure. I think it was real. I'm hoping it wasn't.
mm,
But let's talk about Beckett. What's been going on, man? Like the the plummet from being on top of the game to now where it's almost a joke. And collectors who do like their slabs and obviously like the subgrades, it's kind of like we're pulling out our hair. Like, what the hell are
hmm.
you guys doing?
Right.
Talk to me your thoughts on Beckett and what the heck they're going,
Man,
what's going on over
I
there.
got a lot of thoughts on Beckett.
Let's
So
go.
yeah, I mean, as a 90s guy, I love Beckett. I have a huge soft spot for them. Like I talked about, growing up with the Beckett magazine, when grading first started, PSA and Beckett were the only two, names worth their weight. So, the subgrades are something that obviously I love looking at. I love the look of the slabs. I love the feel of the slabs. I love the way that the slabs sound on a table. I just I really enjoy them. So I want to see Beckett. Not that I care, like if their Gem Mint 9.5 or whatever they call it is the same as a PSA 10. I just like them for my PC cards. And to that degree, if you like GMA, you can put your
Mhm.
PC cards in there. But I want to see them, as respected as we knew that they were, 10,
Mhm.
15 years ago. And I think that they can be that with some pretty small tweaks. The unfortunate thing that I'm seeing from their leadership right now is they're very worried about competing with PSA, but also fending off the SGCs and the CSGs. And, I think they probably even look over their shoulder at, some of the other smaller companies. Um, Too
HGA.
much. I wasn't going to say it, but sure.
Listen, if those guys catch him, then it's time to abandon ship. I'm just
Yes, then
saying.
everybody's jumping.
Yeah.
Yeah, but like I think that there's some things that collectors have been asking for a long, long time if they care to listen. and the changes that they're choosing to make are not anything that is going to move the needle. Um, the issues there haven't been the B on their slab. The issues there haven't been the Gem Mint 9.5. The issues are kind of more stuff in the plumbing. The price is something that is just not as competitive as people would like to see. The turnaround times aren't what people would like to see. The online submission, the way that takes place, whether it's inputting it, whether it's the updates on where your cards are and the statuses and all that, is not what people would like to see. The communication from customer service is not what people would like to see. Those are some of the things that I know a lot of folks would love to see. You can't do all of them at the same time. Some of them are cost cutting and some of them are more of capital investments. But I think and I say it's simple, but I think the biggest thing that is a miss from them is marketing and education. Because older guys like us that know Beckett and have known Beckett, you don't have to tell us, you don't have to explain to us that a 9.5 in terms of condition is probably just about the same as a PSA 10. Obviously, PSA and BGS, they have their certain things that they specialize in, and they have certain things that are going to be more important. You don't need to convince us, right? If I'm going through National and I see a penny in a PSA 9 and a BGS 9, regardless of what the price difference is, if they're the same price, I personally want the BGS 9 more. And that's just a personal preference. But if you have somebody who just got into the hobby, let's say 5 years ago or 3 years ago, they're going to go for the PSA 9 because they don't know Beckett as much as they know PSA. They don't trust Beckett as much as they trust PSA. And I think that it could be really simple, like just some storytelling around the brand, where they came from, how they started, and it seems really fundamental, and it seems almost like, do we have to talk about this? But not everybody knows it. And if I took on the attitude that a lot of people feel as though Beckett takes on, at the start of this podcast, when you say, hey, tell us who you are, I'd be like, you know who I am.
Yeah.
That's how it feels like Beckett
me.
talks to us. Right, exactly. And there's a lot of people who say, no, I don't know who you are. And who are you to have the audacity to act like I should know who you are? And that's what it feels like sometimes. And I know some people that work at Beckett. I know that's not the way that they feel. But that's the messaging that comes across. So, I think marketing also that, hey, the Gem Mint, the True Gem 9.5 or whatever they want to call it from here on out, is a Gem Mint card, and it should be considered a Gem Mint card just like a PSA 10, just like an SGC 10. They are the same condition. And we also have a pristine 10 and a black label 10. No other company can touch the condition of those cards. And I think that's something that they're missing.
Yep. And the big thing I was talking about when we were discussing this on Hobby Hotline, it was like, don't try to reinvent the wheel. Like you said, who cares about the B on the slab? Who cares, about the not you care about the grading scale, but it's like it's already been established. You don't have to reinvent it. All you have to do is discuss it. Get back to the basics. Fix the website, make it easier, talk about why you're important to the hobby. Just stop with all the nonsense and just make it, like I said, keep it simple, stupid, the KISS principle. Enough trying to, like I said, reinvent the wheel. It's just stop, man. And, Beckett has been around forever. We do know, but it doesn't hurt because there's a lot of people that came in, like Tony himself. He's anti Beckett. As much as you love it, he hates it, and he's Mr. PSA over here. And there's nothing wrong with that. We all have our preferences, So when I try to tell him, yo, bro, Beckett, I love the slab. Oh, I hate that slab. It's too thick, and it's too bulky. I don't like it, So he likes the slim fit, the way he wears his clothes, and that's cool. Nothing wrong with that. But like, to me, when my card is in here, it feels like it's something
it feels
important.
so good.
It's like, man, this is a card. Like, I feel the weight of the card in here. You get a PSA slab, it feels like it's gonna fly away. Like, like, come back here.
Yeah, it's these two cards feel very different. One is a BGS, one's a PSA. And some people like I know people that they will, go to the grave with their PSA slabs, and they like them for the same reason that you were just talking about. They're more sleek, they're thin, I can fit more in a box.
Mhm.
Those are all fine reasons. And I know people that are diehard for SGC. And like they all have their positive qualities that everybody can enjoy and like. And I think that's one of the things that also is like a distraction for Beckett, right? Instead of just focusing on why people love our slabs, why
Mhm.
people love our brand, and knowing that you're going to have your tribe. It's like trying to be the cool kid at school. The person who's trying to be the cool kid in high school is never going to be the cool kid.
Mhm.
You just are who you are, and either
Right.
people are gravitating towards you or not, for all your quirks and all the other stuff. And they're
Yeah.
trying to be the cool kid.
Yeah. When
Yeah.
you're trying to be something you're not, it just you see right through it. It's phony. It's
Yeah.
phony. And that's like I don't know who's running it or who's doing what they're doing. And I do know some people that work for them, but it's like whatever path they think they're going down and that they should go down, they need to really stop and reevaluate their whole game plan because it's man, after April 1st, man, it's
Mm,
when I talk about a debacle, that was a debacle, man. And if I were them, I would have been like, yeah, April Fools, man. That was a good joke, right? Like
Yeah.
own
right.
that. Like, yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
no, we were just kidding. We were just kidding.
Yeah, even if it wasn't intended to be an April Fool's joke, just play it off like it
Yeah,
is and go
yeah,
back to the drawing board like you are right now, or
yeah.
so it seems. I mean, and one of the other things too, and I have friends who have been as big a BGS fans as I am and are not anymore for different changes. And it's particularly galling when you see a company that and has come up with, card grading, all of a sudden they're like, we're doing VHS grading. And it's like, that's cool. What about the cards? Because there's changes we've been asking for 10 years now. So that's frustrating.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oz likes his slabs, perfect 90s. He likes them big and baggy, big bulky shorts, and that's how he likes his slabs. So you
Hey,
guys, you guys are it's all good, bro. I like, it's to each his own.
listen, what really does it for me is the subgrades, man. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? You get PSA, you get a 9, and you have no reason why you have a 9. You know what I mean?
So
You get
what?
what do you mean, so what? I want to know why
I
the
never
hell.
get that. Listen, okay,
Oh,
so all
okay,
right, let's
so
get into it because
okay,
this is
let's get into it.
yeah,
Tell
let's
me.
get into it. Okay, so you guys get your 9.5 and 9 whatever, and it has all the cute little numbers up there, right? So
Mhm.
then they're not equal because then
Mm-hmm.
a 9.5 then automatically off the bat they're not equal. Not
Mm-hmm.
two 9.5s are not equal, and I mean we could say that for I know in the vintage game you can tell like they could say you could have 4 different 5s and they'll be all over the place most of the time. For the modern cards, I think they kind of look the same, but I mean, it's the number. Like, so like at 9, when it's a PSA 9 or a PSA 10, that's it. Like, okay, boom, that's it. Like, so what's the hubbub
But if
about
you're looking at a card
yeah.
and you get somebody with an expert opinion and say, "Yeah, that should gem. That should be a gem in
Mm-hmm.
10."
Uh-huh.
You send it to PSA, you get it back and it's a 9 and you're looking at it and you're like, "Why the hell did I get a 9?"
Right.
You don't know.
Yep. So here's an example, right? So here's this penny that I have. This is the triumvirate. This is the luminescent. So the middle
Okay.
rung for those who like it's
Mhm.
probably not going to show up very well. This got an SGC 5.
Hmm.
I can't tell you for the life of me why it got an SGC 5.
Mhm.
And when I look at this and I compare it to my base copy of it's
Yeah.
also a triumvirate. This is a PSA 8. They look the same to me. Now, if these were in Beckett slabs, I'd be able to have the subgrades to tell me, okay, maybe I missed something on the corner. I didn't grade the SGC
Yeah.
one. I bought it for a nice price because it was an SGC 5.
Right.
But maybe there's a wrinkle that I can't see. I don't know any of that stuff. Maybe I could crack it out and it could get a PSA 8 or a BGS 7. I don't know. But but then on the other hand, I have the Illuminator here in a BGS 9.5 without the subgrades. And it drives me nuts because I sent this back to Beckett to get it slabbed with the subgrades, and they said that it wouldn't grade the same. But
Hmm.
they told me why. They gave me a piece of paper and said, "Hey, it has something here, it has something here." I don't like their answer. I don't agree with it, but
So, but wouldn't you still like, so if they said, if you okay, the expert looks at it and says this surface is fantastic, and it
Hmm.
comes back, the surface comes back a 9, wouldn't you still say, well, why'd I get a 9? It's the same, like it's the same principle, because just because the number's there, that it
So
doesn't, be like, well, this should have been a 9.5, but no,
I
it's a
hear what
9.
you're
You know what
saying,
I'm
but
saying?
like, so here's an example, right? So this one's a BGS 10, right?
Uh-huh.
This is a real 10 pristine. So it has 195. So I can look at this card and
Mhm.
I can see it has 195 grade. So I know where it's getting knocked off, right?
Yeah.
This one, it's the corners. A 9.5, I can't tell with the naked eye, right? So a lot of the stuff you wouldn't be able to tell unless you put it under magnification or different kind of UV lights.
Yeah.
The difference between an 8 and a 9 or a 9 and a 10. Um, and I know that there's people that put it under magnification and can tell you the difference, but like in general, a lot of us are guessing
Yeah.
when we send our cards in,
Nobody's
right?
doing that. Yeah.
Yeah. So it's like having the Beckett subgrades to be able to point your attention to something and okay, great, I missed this, right? If it's not one example, I sent a Kobe EX2000 rookie to PSA, right? I'm like, I think this is probably an 8. It's got a little bit of edge wear, all the typical stuff. It came back a 5, right? It's a big difference. But it was such a glaring difference because I missed a huge crease on the back, right? That was obvious.
Okay.
I should have seen that. But because it was a 5, it had to be something major. If it's an 8, it's going to be probably something pretty minor, right? You're probably not going to miss the corner ding on a black bordered card. But you might miss kind of like a crease that you can't see unless you got it in the right angle, and stuff like that. So I just think having that reassurance of like some professional telling you, hey, focus on this part of the card, whether or not you're going to be able to see it with your naked eye, just gives you a reason rather than just being like, I'm just going to play the game and crack it and sub it again and
Yeah.
crack it and sub it again and crack
Yeah.
it and sub it again. And eventually, I'm just going to will myself into a 10.
Yeah. Yeah. And that's where I get that pisses me off with PSA is that you can do that. You
Yep.
literally can just keep doing it. And one day, magically, all of a sudden, that card that's been a 9, all of a sudden becomes a 10. And now, you're jumping up and down. I got my 10 that I wanted after, how many submissions. Where, like you said, if you send it to Beckett, you at least have some sense as to why your card graded the way it did. So, I mean, we
Mm-hmm.
could be here debating forever and
Yeah,
ever.
yeah. Oh, dude,
Yeah.
it's the perfect. That's perfect for. I mean, dude, yeah. How many times we'll just sit here for hours and hours and hours? I mean, it's a debate that's never gonna end.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. And like I was showing, I've got slabs of, I will buy slabs of PSA, BGS, SGC, and CSG. And I've subbed to all 4 of them. They all have their reasons, why I think they're good and why I think some are better in certain circumstances. Like my buddy sent a serial numbered card to PSA, came back min sized, and he was like, that's BS. Sent it back. Again, it's serial numbered, so you know which is which.
Mhm.
Came back a PSA 8 the second time. That makes no sense to me. If it's min sized the first time, it should be min sized the second time.
Yeah.
Not to say that doesn't happen with Beckett, and all companies make mistakes, but I think it's certain. There's reasons to have certain cards and certain holders.
Yeah.
Fair enough. So the debate rages on. So Oz, you keep your big slabs, and I'm gonna keep my slim Jims. And we all collect happily ever after. So
I don't have all big slabs. I got some PSA. It's just,
yeah,
when
yeah, no.
getting back into it, that was the first slab that I gravitated towards because I really like the assurance of seeing the subgrades and knowing, okay, this card was almost, a 10. But the corners and the surface were off by point 0.5. And they're like, okay,
Mhm.
that makes sense.
But you know what though? So like going back to what Jake said though, it's like that's what we grew up on. Like the fact like Beckett is the standard. So when I came back, like I assumed that this is it, man. This is the jam right here. They're like, no, it's PSA. Because I'm like, well, why? Beckett is Beckett, man. Like that's the hobby standard. Like it's Dr. Beckett. It's a whole
Mm,
thing. Like, but
Yeah, that's
yeah,
another how the takeover took place and then the
mm.
precipitous fall of
yeah,
Beckett, like trying to figure out how to get back on top, and it just seems like they keep stubbing their toe.
Hmm.
and making every wrong move, and PSA is just standing back, just like we don't do subgrades, we don't do. We're just like, look,
Right.
slim
Yeah.
slab, real nice and easy, and
Last weekend was a real good time to be PSA, SGC, CSG because you could just sit back and be like, I don't have to do anything, and I'm winning this
Like
weekend.
we're good. Yeah, we're
Yeah,
good.
drinks on Beckett tonight.
Yeah, yeah, man, that's tough. So Jake, real quick, because then we're gonna do some little fun exercise here. Just current state of the NBA. You still a fan? Or you're looking forward to some of these new guys coming out, and
Yeah,
what are you thinking about
yeah.
the
It's a tough time to be a Magic fan, but I could say that pretty much since Penny left, with
Mhm.
one small exception. But yeah, I still enjoy the NBA, not as much as my wife. My wife, there's plenty of times that we're sitting on the couch and she's watching. She wants to watch the Kings and then the Nuggets and then the Warriors, and I'm like, I'm asleep. you know. But when April rolls around, and I told her this, like we were getting into a discussion, this year, and she was like, I thought you were an NBA fan, and I was like, well, look, don't gaslight me, because I am. But when April rolls around, the games actually get interesting, right? The MVP race is actually like at a fever pitch, and you know who the last couple of guys are.
Mhm.
The teams are all jockeying for position, whether they're going to be in the play-in, or they're going to, be above the play-in, bubble, so to speak. That's where stuff really starts to get interesting, and that's enough to kind of hold my attention for a little bit longer. But also there's some teams, like as good as the Nuggets are, I just cannot stand to watch them play. Like it bores me to tears. And I was telling her the other day, I was like, who was it? I don't remember who the Nuggets were playing against. It was another boring ass team, and I was like, this is as
Preach.
bad as the Spurs
Utah,
Pistons finals.
Utah
It
Jazz.
was probably Utah. It was probably Utah. Yeah, and I was just like, this is as bad as the Spurs Pistons finals, which I fell asleep through like every single,
That
like
was
third quarter rolled around, I'm out. I'm out.
Yeah.
So yeah, there's just some teams I just don't enjoy. But we both love the Warriors. She's a big Steph Curry fan, has been since
Mhm.
college. So we watch the Warriors.
Mhm.
She's a Lakers fan, so it's a lot of fun to enjoy LeBron, but also, they're trying to fight to get into the playoffs this year, which is fun to watch a team fight. There's so many exciting young players. Tatum is a lot of fun to watch in Boston. And I think we're at this interesting point with the NBA where you've got this group of rising young talent, with Tatum and Luca and, Ja, despite some of the stuff that's happened recently, that are really exciting, that you're really wondering, how high is their ceiling? How high are they going to take their teams? Then you've also still got this kind of like older guard of LeBron and Durant. You can even put Steph Curry in there, that it's like, okay, how many years did they have left? So it's
Mhm.
this interesting dichotomy with a lot of teams. And my wife and I have talked about how we kind of see that also play out within the Warriors team, where you've got some younger guys with like Jordan Poole and Kuminga, and then you've also got the older guys like Clay and Steph and Draymond. So how gracefully is that torch going to be passed, and can they do it with keeping the same level of play and all that type of stuff? It's going to be interesting next couple of years as that kind of plays out with the younger guys across the league.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
I mean, and it's funny, and again, no knock on you, but it's like we completely just gloss over the fact that Embiid is like a monster,
Mm,
but he's like nobody ever mentions him, and it's weird. Like he's winning the MVP this year. He had a dominant performance last night, but it's like we talk about the Luca, we talk about the Giannis, we talk about all these other guys, and it's just like Embiid's like, yeah, Embiid's there, but it's like this man was almost, he should have been MVP probably 2 out of the last 3 years. You have Jokic, who, listen, Jokic to me, what I had this debate all the time. Like you said, to me, watching him play, it's the most boringest thing that you would ever see. The stats are there at the end of the game. You have 32 points, you have 12 rebounds, and you have 11 assists. And everybody's like, oh my God, he's a walking triple double. Did you see the pass that he had? And I was like, but did you watch the actual game? Because if you watched the game, you would have fell asleep because it was the most boringest thing you've ever seen. I said, you put him and Joel Embiid next to each other, and it's night and day as far as the skill wise on the basketball court because there's no comparison. I always call Joel Embiid, it's like he's able to take other people's moves. He likes to forge,
Mm,
people move. The great forgers, what they call them in Philadelphia. So he'll take, Steph Curry step back three. He'll take the dreams shake. He'll take all kinds of moves, the fadeaway, and he makes it his own at 7'2", and with that big ass body, and he's able to do things that's like it boggles the mind. But it's just funny, and it's I'm being a homer, yes, but he's just never in the conversation when we talk about, like, he's in the middle somewhere. Like, is he too old? Is he too young? But we
mm.
never really talk about, like, this man has been number 2 in the MVP the last 2 years, and now he's gonna win it. So he could have possibly won it the last 3 years, but he's like never mentioned. And I just wonder why is that? Do you have an answer?
Yeah. I don't, I know that there are people that are very passionate on either side of the MVP discussion.
Mhm.
And I think both have a good case. It's like talking about PSA and BGS.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah, that's exactly what it is.
and like
Jokic is BGS. How about that?
so yeah, I mean, like you said, the Joker, to me, is boring to watch. His stat sheet is very exciting to look at. But Tim Duncan was boring for me to watch,
Mhm.
and he was absolutely incredible. If I'm gonna pick a guy who's in the MVP race that's exciting to watch, I think Giannis is more fun to watch than both of them. And
Yeah.
athletically, he's incredible, and his team is, so he's got a case. But if I was gonna sit there and pick my MVP based on who I like to watch, you know, it's going to be, a lot of years it's going to be LeBron, and I think the MVP voting is an interesting thing because I think voter fatigue is a real thing. Um, and it happened to Jordan. It might happen with Jokic. I think there's a lot of players in the NBA who won MVPs because other players were great, but people were tired of voting for them.
Yep.
Which I think is an interesting thing. Another thing I think is really interesting is if you look at the MVP winners and the history of the players that win the MVP and how many of them are in the Hall of Fame, and then you look to see if there's any that don't really pass a sniff test. I think there's really only like one or two in the history of the NBA. So, when you're talking about MVPs, you're talking about Hall of Famers,
Mhm.
going against Hall of Famers. It's really tough to,
Yeah.
nitpick against those guys.
Yeah,
Agreed.
sure. All right, Jake, let's have some fun a little bit here. So before we got on, you seem to be a bit of a draft guru, as they say. But so I proposed the idea of two things. We want to do our all-time starting five, and then the other one just we'll go off of that, but just all 90s kind of starting five. But all-time starting five, we'll have a little draft here. We'll kind of go in a circle. The only thing I want to ask you guys with this, is this players we've seen or players we've told were great? Because I didn't
Oh
see
boy.
Wilt play. I didn't see, are
This
we
is
going
listen.
there?
You could do it however you want it. It's your top 5. We're having a draft. It could be any player. If you've seen them, haven't seen them, but just like all-time player that if you
Okay.
had a chance to have everybody in their prime, pick that best player at that position. We're going to go point guard. We're going to go shooting guard, center, small forward, power forward. And we're not doing positionless basketball. We're going to
Yeah.
go by those standards. And
All right.
whoever you think, and obviously, if I say, for example, if I take Jordan, obviously he's the GOAT. You would
Right.
have to take another shooting guard. Unfortunately, you
Gotcha.
wouldn't have
All right.
access. So
So what you're saying is Len Bias is on the board.
He
yes,
is on the
everybody,
board for
everybody.
sure. So Jake, we'll let you go first. We'll start with the
Oh
point guard
wow.
position. You got the first point guard off the board, sir. You are on the clock.
All right. So this is the all-time team, not the all
All
90s team.
time,
All
all
time.
All
time
time.
team.
All right. I'm gonna go with Magic at the point. That's gonna be my guy.
All right. Fair enough. Go ahead, Oz.
I'm gonna go Curry.
Curry as your point guard. All
Mm-hmm.
right. Well, he took my point guard there, Jake. So I will have to go with boy, talk about boring. But okay, I guess I'm going point guard. I'm going Stockton, baby. Let's get
Hmm.
them steals
And
and
assists.
assists.
That's what a
Oh,
point
see,
guard is, getting
I
that
feel
ball.
yeah,
like I feel like at that point it's down to Stockton and Zeke.
Yeah.
yeah. That's why I was like, I'm in between. Well, the thing is, so I know I go first for shooting guard, so I'm like, I'm gonna get points,
Right.
and I'm gonna take MJ.
Oh, all right.
As your shooting guard, sir.
Kobe.
Mm,
Kobe.
too
All
easy.
right.
Oh boy. If I'm gonna so with this squad,
So you got
you
Magic at the point. You got
yep,
some size there.
yep. You guys tell me if this is allowed. I think
It's your
I think
team.
you could call him a shooting guard. Can I put Dr. J at my two guard?
Ooh,
Ooh,
that,
muddling the line
that's a
there.
little
Muddling the
spicy.
line.
That he's the small forward.
Yeah.
All right, all right. That's
It's
why I gotta ask.
disallowed, sir. It was your
Uh,
team until you broke the rule.
it's just because you guys want him. You're the
Yeah,
Philly
yeah.
guys,
Oz
so
is picking him
I
up.
was trying to
Oh no,
pander to the
actually, you
audience
should
a
be
little
able.
bit.
No, yeah, you can take him. You can take a shooting guard and then take Dr. J. So you have back to
And-
back picks. Yeah.
yeah, I do. All right. So I can't put LeBron at the two either. No.
No.
All right. Boy, I think I would go with. Oh, I'm between two guys. I'm gonna go with D Wade.
Dwayne, that's
Okay.
nice.
Yeah,
It's
a
nice.
little bit of defense on the perimeter.
Like
Okay.
it.
Magic ain't stopping anybody.
Fair enough.
Um, boy, at the three, there's two guys. Mm, I'm torn. I'm gonna go with Larry Legend.
Nice.
I'm gonna score some more points.
Nice. Nice. Well, you sniped me twice. I had Magic and Bird as my
Mm.
1-2 combo there. But all right, Oz. I know who Oz isn't gonna take. See, this is where I get a value pick. 'Cause Oz is a he hates the guy I'm gonna pick.
Okay,
So
it's probably the guy I was debating between.
he's not gonna pick him. This is like one of those where I mean, if Oz takes this guy, I'll be actually I want him to take it because it'll nullify all the nonsense he was talking in
Listen, you
that very
can't
seat.
listen. You're
Yeah,
talking for me
go ahead.
again. I gotta take the goat. I gotta take the best player all time, LeBron. Right?
LeBron is a small forward. Okay.
Right? Yeah.
That's who I
Uh,
was. That's who I was
yeah,
picking between him and
yeah,
Bird.
that's fine.
Yeah.
Yeah, cool. Because I'm taking Scottie Pippen.
Mm.
Oh, now that's a bum. No, I'm just kidding.
That's what I'm saying. I was like, I knew you were going to take Pippen, so I'd get Pippen. And power forward, Tim Duncan, brother.
Mm.
Nice.
So I got Stockton, MJ, Pippen, and Duncan.
I'm going. I'm gonna go Dirk.
Mm.
Okay.
I like that.
Nice.
Oh boy, Tim Duncan was the guy that I wanted. There's another guy that people think I should take, but I'm not going to take him. Boy, there's two guys again. So quick question because
Sure.
can I put Big Bill Russell at my four?
No.
No?
I'm trying to toe that line. I love the positional basketball. So.
Yeah.
All right, I'm gonna go with Chuck.
Nice.
That's who I was gonna take, but I wanted to get a little.
Chuck. And then the man in the middle for Team Jake.
I really want to take Bill, but I have to go with Kareem.
Okay.
All time.
Fair enough. Oz.
Oh boy. You know what? Let's go with Shaq, baby.
Mm.
Oh, okay. Nice. Wow. Then I guess I'll take the winningest man in the NBA of all time. All them rings and all that good stuff. Big Bill Russell.
There you go.
I have
So
to
Go
refuse
with
that.
Joel.
nah. So the recast of Jake has Magic, Dwayne Wade, Larry Bird, Charles Barkley, Kareem Abdul-Jabbar.
It's a lot of points.
Nice. That's a lot of points. Oz got Curry, Kobe, LeBron, Dirk Nowitzki, and Shaq.
That's a lot of points.
That is a lot of points. Wowza. Sheesh. I got John Stockton, Michael Jordan, Scottie Pippen, Tim Duncan, and Bill Russell. So we're going to bore you to death with 3 of my 5 guys, but we're going to win ugly. We're going to have little shorts. You're going to be like, what the hell's going on? Why did we lose to these dudes? They look goofy as hell. Before you know it, we got 8 rings, and we're just laughing all the way to the bank. So
That's
take
sick.
that.
That's
So
pretty
real
cool.
quick, guys, 90s all-time starting 5. 90s
Yep.
guys, straight 90s guys. So guys like Iverson, no,
Yep.
Kobe, no, just straight 90s.
Oh, so no Iverson, no Kobe.
I, to me, I consider them two. I mean, I know they were
Okay,
drafted in
all right.
'97. They're kind of, to me. I mean, whatever. They're drafted in the '90s. Have at it. My list is more guys who when I think of 90 to 99, from 90 to 99, that these guys were in their prime and this was their time.
Okay.
Um, you know, but it's no draft. Just we'll go. I can go first if you want.
Yeah.
So point guard, Gary Payton, shooting guard, Michael Jordan, small forward, Scottie Pippen, power forward, Charles Barkley, and center, Akeem. That's my five. And I got honorable mention guys there, but Stockton at the point, Reggie
Mhm.
Miller at shooting guard, Clyde at small forward, Karl Malone at power forward, and David Robinson would be my honorable mention at center. But it's Peyton, Jordan, Pippen, Barkley, Olajuwon for me. So, Oz.
Well, obviously Jordan, shooting guard, point guard. Let's see. Well, you wouldn't is Magic there?
I guess he's like an '80s guy. He's an '80s guy, man. I mean, he's I don't know. Whatever. I mean,
Okay, can I pick Zeke? Because he's 80s, but they won. The Detroit Pistons won in
they've
what?
been in the '90s.
Yeah.
Yeah, I guess.
All
Yeah.
right. So Isaiah Thomas at point. Michael at shooting guard. Center, I'm going Robinson. Small forward. Well, power forward, I'm going Barkley.
Mhm.
And small forward, damn. I gotta go Bird, bro. I'm going Bird. He was 90.
Bird is so '80s. You're just a clown. You can't admit that Scottie Pippen is a good player, man. You are.
I didn't say he wasn't a good player. I don't even.
You could have gone Glenn Rice. Why not Glenn Rice?
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know what? I'll go Larry Johnson. No.
Yeah. You could have went
Ma.
Clyde the Glide. Yeah.
Clyde the Glide. You know what? Yeah, I'll go Clyde.
Detlef Shrimp. He's available.
You know what?
Yeah.
Dominique Wilkins.
There we go.
Okay. All right. Dominique, take that. All right, Jake, bring us on. What do you got?
All right.
90s team.
I'm gonna go Stockton, Jordan. I'm gonna go Pippen. The four. I'm gonna go Barkley. I really want to go Rodman though, but I'm gonna go Barkley, and then I gotta go with Robinson. Shaq is close. Hakeem is there, but David Robinson was just an animal. So
yeah, nice. I have Shaq.
Advanced analytics also favor Shaq. I mean Robinson over Shaq. So
yeah,
I'm all about analytics, bro.
Yeah, Oz is all about that. Don't watch the game, just watch the boxing, the box score. There you go.
Dude, that guy had the worst supporting casts and did the most with the least for so. I mean, Avery Johnson, Vinny Del Negro, and Sean Elliott were not a playoff team without him. I mean, they get the number one pick because he was out for a season.
Yeah,
and then he anyway. So yeah. David Robinson is one of those guys that's near and dear to my heart.
Yeah, I have a little PC that I have of his that was one of the guys, him, Charles Barkley, from the 2000, 90s, 80s, 90s that I got. So
dope. Hey Jake, before we get out of here, let everybody know where they can find you and your content.
Yeah, so 90s _b-ball _cards on pretty much everywhere. So Instagram, Twitter a little. I'm on there a little bit. YouTube is where I make a lot of the content. I'm also on TikTok a little bit, and I'm also on Facebook. But there, my name is 90 B-ball cards because I messed up and I didn't add the S. So
gotta love how you can't. Once you do that, it's like you can't. They don't even give you like 2-3 minutes to edit it. No,
I've tried. I've Googled how do I change it. I can't figure it out. So I'm like, it's just gonna stay.
Yeah, screw it. But
yeah,
it's cool. And you have like I've seen you doing some videos in your car where you're talking and stuff like that. So you got all kinds of stuff going on, man.
Yeah, but, trying to keep it fresh, trying to keep it new.
For sure. But I appreciate you joining us. Before I kick it over to Oz, man, this was fun. Like I said, I knew that anytime we talk 90s, that was my heyday. That was it. Oz, I was in my prime, man. This is
dunking on 9-foot hoops and everything. Right?
Hell yeah, dude. Yeah, we were. That's no lie. That is absolutely no lie. We would rent a local place here and bring the rims down, and it was on.
I know. You and me were kindred spirits. I can tell.
Hell yeah.
That's funny. That man, those days were the best. And listen, man, this was just like chilling back. We all get together after hooping all day long, just getting back and just talking basketball. This
Mm,
is what it was. It felt good. Loved it. Everything about it. Loved that draft. So we appreciate you coming on, man. This was
thanks
cool.
for having me.
And honestly, dude, we would love to really like behind the scenes pick your brain because I want to continue dabbling in the 90s b-ball inserts and stuff like that. And I know Tony, like I said, he's been trepidatious when it comes to that. But if we can get an expert like yourself that's been doing it for a while and just say, yeah, man, these are the sets that I like. This is pretty cool. I'd really love that, Jake. So appreciate you
Yeah,
coming on board.
happy to help.
And listen, man, we're gonna end this like we always do, and that's keep focused, keep positive, and keep collecting. Hey, yo, Tone, bring the beat back.